As John Wick Chapter 3 is simply a couple weeks away, I'm pretty sure at this point a lot of fans of the franchise are kicking themselves in the ass for not having gone to see it when it came out originally, October 2014. I know I am. I bought the movie when it came out on home video, but I never saw it in theaters. In fact, I let it sit unopened, and I think it is still unopened in a box. And I didn't even watch John Wick until right before John Wick Chapter 2 came out, to which case I absolutely positively kicked myself in the dick. I was like, God damn it, Matt, you moron, this was great. What are you doing? So now that John Wick Chapter 3 is almost upon us, we're starting to get a little bit of look at what some early reactions are saying. And according to this website here, John Wick early reactions are exactly what fans of the franchise want, which is great. But let's take a quick look here at a couple of these reactions and then talk about why people love John Wick. Griffin Schiller here says, well, I guess a social media embargo lifted. It says, oh my God, John Wick, holy God, this movie kicks so much ass, an adrenaline rush with striking visuals, intricate choreography, and action set pieces, continues to expand the mythology. It's the Raid 2 meets Assassin's Creed, the games. We've got Michael Reyes here. John Wick 3 is yet another round of kick-ass action and intriguing world building. Keanu Reeves continues to clean up. The stunt bar has been raised again. There are so many places a franchise could go from here, and all of them are exciting. Now, keep that in mind, because Starz is currently developing a TV show based around the Continental, keeping the mythology of John Wick going. And again, that's something to pay attention to, because look at all these tweets. Courtney Howard here saying, John Wick 3 is an eye-popping, jaw-dropping, show-stopping killer, extends world-building dynamics beautifully, but also assigns meaningful resonance to character-driven action. Keanu Reeves is perfect. Hoy Tran Boy says, on my proper John 3 reaction, pure visceral cinema. After the dramatic world expansion of Chapter 2, Chapter 3 returns to a leaner, exhilarating story, chock full of breathless, bone-crunching action, and even a few laughs. Going on, I mean, look, Eric Davis here says, more reactions. Finally allowed to say John Wick 3 is a hands down the best of the three movies. Ridiculously inventive fight scenes and lots more world building. There's a knife fight in this movie that is aces. Also, Halle Berry needs her own series. Now, the reason why I'm bringing that up, the reason why I keep kind of emphasizing the world building aspects of John Wick has everything to do with the fact that we don't know much about the world of John Wick, just that hitmen and murderers and assassins all operate. And in the case of John Wick, the police know who he is. They know what he's done. Thomas Sadoki's two cameos have always asked the question, are you working again, John? And I do hope they bring that back in this movie, although I don't quite know how. But again, they've established little tidbits throughout these two films to give us an idea about what the world is. And looking over here just on the John Wick Wikia, it says here that the Continental, being a key piece of both films, is a chain of hotels located around the world that function as neutral territory for members of the criminal underworld. They are frequented by many hitmen and notorious murderers. This is very, very, very true. But one of the things that played a big part in Chapter 2 was the High Table. And looking at the High Table, they say here, the High Table is a council of high-level crime lords that each lead one of the underworld's most powerful organizations. The council comprises 12 seats, with each seat often owned by a family held by the Russians, the Italians, and other mafias. The High Table is considered the ultimate authority in the underworld of the earth and is feared and respected by all, including Winston and John. They also have dozens of police forces, politicians, and bureaucrats that work worldwide underneath their thumbs, which might be also where Thomas Sadoki's cameo appearance is. He might be one of those officers that's like, I know who Baba Yaga is, I know who John Wick is, and I'm going to ask him if he's working because I don't want that to be a gigantic nightmare in case that's what what happens. So think about that. Think about the tweets, the reactions to John Wick Chapter 3, and also the fact that the mythology of it is what keeps it going. And I kind of harken back to the Paranormal Activity films, right? This is true. So go and watch the Paranormal Activity movies and start looking for the world building that's in there. So you think it's a standard ghost story, which it ultimately is. And in the first movie, we find out that Kate, sister, I think like was possessed or something, that they had a demon following them, that it left this picture in their house when they were kids. And that was one of the little things that they think was, tracking Kate's character or Katie's character in the first Paranormal Activity. And the second Paranormal Activity, we learn a little bit more about that particular encounter. And in the third Paranormal Activity, because it's a prequel, we get to see how that particular encounter took place, as well as the witches that are I think the ones who brought the demon in. As the movies progress, as Paranormal Activity progresses, this is when we start to see more and more and more of the overall story. Now, I'm not too sure if The Lost Ones or the last movie that they did ultimately tie up the story. I never really watched them, but this is what John Wick is also doing. So John Wick comes out 2014, kick-ass movie, good story. You killed the dog, you're gonna die. That's how it is. But it starts to open up this world, and then the second movie comes around, and it opens it up a little bit more. We get to see more of the world aspect of the Continental, and John traveling to Italy and dealing with the families in the high table and the politics, the Game of Thrones-esque politics that take place there. And then in this movie, it's going to open it up even more and tie into a Starz franchise. This is why John Wick is a lasting property. It's not just Keanu Reeves killing a whole bunch of dudes in glorious ways and very excellently choreographed fight scenes. That definitely helps. But what keeps people coming back, what keeps people excited, is learning more about the world. And as the world expansion happens, as the world building grows, as we get more to know about it, it's going to create its own massive fandom. And I think they're in a brilliant position with number 3 to tie into future spin-off movies, because I think they're going to be honest with you. This one's looking, I think, at around a $40 million opening, which is really weird for mid-May, but whatever. Given the budget, it makes a lot of sense. And then also the Starz TV series. And what they should do is move over into comics and move over into novels and maybe audio dramas, or even a John Wick video game. I don't know why that's not a case, that's not a thing right now, but they should. And that to me is why the John Wick series is going to be a very long lasting franchise. What was started off as a very simple kind of one note process, right? It was, here's a hitman in a world full of hitmen. Everyone fears him. He's retired. They kill his dog. He kills everyone. It's a very standard, straightforward story, and it works. It works wonderfully. John Wick 2 then expands upon that. Why? Because, how did John Wick retire in the first movie? Well, he had to go and kill the one dude's all of his enemies in one night, and to do that, he signed a blood pact with the guy from the second movie. The names are kind of escaping me right now. And that dude then calls in the favor in the second movie to go and kill his sister to therefore secure his seat at the high table. And then John violates every rule in order to get the revenge when he got double crossed. I mean, they're straightforward, simple stories about revenge and anger and everything else, but they're tied into this world building that is unlike anything we've seen in its particular context. I mean, the Hotel Artemis, I believe, was a knockoff of the Continental, if you want my honest opinion, but it didn't have the central character to rally around in order to introduce us to that world. Now that we've been introduced to the Continental through John Wick and also the amazing performance by Ian McShane, I think now going into it, people are going to demand more. And this is where the powers that be who are controlling the franchise absolutely positively need to come out and issue a whole slew of tie-in comics and novels and things to expand the world even more. This might be me fanboying out here, but I could see the John Wick story going on for decades, provided they keep the rules grounded, they keep the rules simple, and they keep us engaged with interesting characters that are going to be building off of this already kind of established world in a way that doesn't feel contrived. And I think they could do it because, like I said, the concepts here are very simple, but they're executed in a way that is wonderfully done. The action is just on point all the way through. And I think that's ultimately what's going to lead us to wanting to see more of these films. And Keanu himself has said that very much he wants to keep doing this as long as the fans keep wanting it. And I think the fans definitely want it. I just hope we get more than one little nugget of story or two little nuggets of story per film, like the Paranormal Activity movies, because that can overstay its welcome very quick. But the difference between John Wick and Paranormal Activity is that John Wick's actually good. I like the Paranormal Activity movies, but John Wick's John Wick. Anyway, your thoughts, your opinions, let me know down in the comments below. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a fantastic day, and peace out. Hey, thank you very much for making it to this point in the video. I really appreciate it. If you want to support the channel, you can always toss a like, or if you want to go a step further, why not check out patreon.com/MattJarbo, where you can support the channel directly. For just a few dollars a month, you get access to our private Discord and our private Facebook group, where we talk about movies 24/7, as well as a lot of new stuff coming throughout 2019. Thank you guys again very much. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.